Hello everyone, I am CS Ishika Agrawal. So in today's video, we are going to revise the remaining topics of SEBI ICDR regulations, which is your lesson number 8 of CMSL CS Executive. So let's get started. We have done with IPO and FPO and all the requirements of promoter contribution and lock-in requirements and other requirements of IPO and FPO. All these topics we have already completed. So from today, in this video, we will start with the topic of fast track FPO. Fast track FPO means where basically you don't need to go through the process of filing draft prospectus to SEBI. By skipping that, you can go with the fast track process of FPO, that is further public offer. So how many topics are remaining in this particular lesson? 9 topics are remaining: fast track FPO, right issue, preferential issue, QIP, IDR, SME, bonus issue, IGP and SME. We have summarized all the topics to make it simplest for you. So the first topic is fast track FPO. Fast track means where you don't need to file the draft prospectus to SEBI. Without going through that process of draft prospectus, you can directly go ahead with the listing and you can go ahead with the FPO. So it takes less time to complete. But you should be eligible to make fast track FPO. There are some eligibility conditions given. In order to make fast track FPO, you should be eligible. First eligibility condition is you should already be listed for 3 years, which means it should already 3 years should already complete after your listing, which means let's say you listed 2 years back, or let's say it's been only 2 years 11 months since you have listed, then you're not eligible for fast track. You will be eligible for fast track only if you have completed 3 years of listing. Secondly, your promoters shares should be in demat form. All the shares which are held by promoters or promoters group should be in demat form, not in physical form. Thirdly, average market cap of public shareholding should be at least 1000 crore. Now, what is market cap? Market cap means total market capital of the company. What is total market capital? Total number of shares into market price. Okay, but here we don't have to take total market cap. We have to take market cap of only public shareholding, means market cap of only those shares which are held by public, not promoters. So basically, we'll take only those number of shares which are held by public into market price. If we will do this, we will come to average market cap of public shareholding. And only if your average market cap of public shareholding is at least 1000 crore, then only you will be eligible for fast track. Next is your annual trading turnover. So the law says that your annual trading turnover should be minimum 2% of weighted average listed shares in the last 6 months. So first we will check the total number of listed shares in the last 6 months. We will calculate average of that. We will calculate basically weighted average for that. We will calculate weighted average number of listed number of shares, okay, in the last 6 months. Now uska at least 2% should be traded by everyone, which means your shares should be frequently traded. For example, there is 2 restaurant. In one restaurant, people are going and eating dosa. Another restaurant is empty, nobody is going and eating dosa. Automatically you will have an impression that the restaurant which is filled with people is good and the other restaurant which is empty is not good. Same way, the companies whose shares are frequently traded, now they are considered to be a good company. So we are saying that your shares should be frequently traded, at least 2% of weighted average shares. So what are we saying? Your trading turnover, your total annual trading turnover, पूरे year का trading turnover should be at least 2% of weighted average shares in the last 6 months. Okay. Now this is total trading turnover. Out of that, this is total trading turnover. But here one point is given: if public shareholding is less than 15%, which means if there is any company where majority promoters holding is there, if there is any company where public shareholding is only less than 15%, in that case you have to use free float shares. Free float shares means those shares which are with public. Here we will exclude those shares which are with promoters. ठीक है. Free float shares means those shares which are with public. ठीक है. So if there is any company in which public shareholding is less than 15%, in that case we will use only free float shares. Free float shares means only those shares which are with public. We will not take those shares which are with promoters. ठीक है. So if there is any company in which public shareholding is less than 15%, then what we will do, we will take annualized trading turnover should be at least 2% of weighted average free float shares. We will take only free float shares. Okay, next. Out of this total trading, let's say annualized total trading is whatever, let's say 10 CR. Out of that, delivery based trading should be 10% of total trading turnover. So, isse above wale point mein we were calculating total trading turnover and total trading turnover should be at least 2% of weighted average shares. Out of this total trading turnover, delivery based trading turnover should be at least 10% of the total trading turnover. Now what is delivery based turnover means? Where you do trading on delivery base. Delivery base matlab I am purchasing Reliance ka share on delivery. I am taking delivery of Reliance share. Basically it means we will not include intraday trading. Intraday trading means I purchase 100 shares of Reliance today, and today only I sold 100 shares of Reliance, which means I am doing intraday purchase and sale on the same day, which means I am not taking delivery of shares. So we will not take intraday. Only delivery based turnover should be minimum 10% of total trading turnover. Delivery based trading turnover should be at least 10% of total trading turnover, and we will check this data of last 6 months. Okay. Next is you should be compliant company. If you are a defaulter company, we will not allow you to go for fast track. So you should be in LODR compliance for last 3 years. But there is one exception, that if in the last 3 years you did violation in board composition, which now is rectified and you have made full disclosure of it, then it's fine. You will be allowed to make fast track. What are we saying? That if you want to go for fast track FPO, you have to comply with LODR in the last 3 years. If you have not complied with LODR in the last 3 years, you will not be eligible. But here we are saying that if there is only one violation, board composition ka, which is now corrected and fully disclosed, then it's okay. You are eligible to make FPO fast track. And if there is only monetary fines imposed by SEBI or stock exchange, then you will not be disqualified. You will still be eligible to go for fast track. If only monetary fines are there, they are not that serious. Basically, chota mota monetary fines is there. It's allowed. It's fine. You will still be eligible to make fast track FPO. Next condition is you have to solve minimum 95% of your investors' complaint till the last quarter before you file the application for fast track. So the date on which you file an application for fast track, till the quarter ending before it, you have to make sure that you have solved at least 90% of the total complaints, and there should be no pending show cause notice by SEBI or stock exchange against the company. If there is any pending show cause notice means you have done some crime or fraud and SEBI has issued you show cause notice. In that case, you will not be eligible to go for fast track, because you are a defaulter company now. We will allow only clean and good companies to go for fast track. But there is one exception, that if only penalty prosecution have started. Penalty prosecution have already started. So penalty is it's not that serious matter. So if penalty prosecution is going on, you can disclose it and you can go ahead with the fast track FPO. But the intention of this show cause notice is crimes and frauds. If you have done any crime or serious fraud for which SEBI has issued you show cause notice, now you cannot go for fast track. But if only penalty prosecution is going on, it's fine. You can disclose it and you can go ahead with the fast track process. Next is there should be no if there is any settlement order in the last 3 years, then you have to disclose all the settlement order before going for fast track. So if there is settlement order, can you go for fast track? Yes, you can go for fast track, but only thing is you have to disclose to SEBI about all the settlement orders done with the company or promoter or directors. Next is your shares should not be suspended from trading in the last 3 years by stock exchange. If you will see, most of the requirement is for last 3 years. Okay, so if in the last 3 years stock exchange has suspended your shares from trading, then you will not be eligible to go for fast track FPO. Next is there should be no conflict of interest between company and merchant banker, issuer and merchant banker. And lastly, if there is any audit qualification means negative remarks of the auditor, negative comments of the auditor, then we have to prepare our financials again, prepare our balance sheet and P&L again by rectifying this negative remarks. Matlab isko correct karke then we have to prepare it again. But if it is not possible to prepare it again, then just disclose it clearly. If you comply with these 12 conditions, then only you will be eligible for fast track FPO. Coming again with the condition of fast track FPO, you should be listed for 3 years. Your promoter share should be in demat form. Your public shareholding ka market cap should be minimum 1000 crore. Your annual trading turnover should be minimum 2% of average shares. Now, average shares ki jagah you will take free float shares if public shareholding is less than 15%. And your delivery based turnover should be minimum 10% of total trading turnover. You should be LODR compliant. But if only board composition violation is there, which is corrected, then you are eligible to go for fast track. If there are only monetary fines, then you are eligible to go for fast track. You will be eligible to go for fast track only if you have solved minimum 95% of the total investor complaints. There is no pending show cause notice, and If there is penalty prosecution have started, then you can disclose it and you can go for a fast track. If there is any settlement order in the last 3 years, you can disclose about it and then you can go for fast track. But you should not be suspended from trading in the last 3 years by stock exchange. And lastly, there should be no conflict of interest between issuer and merchant banker. And if there is any audit qualification, then we have to restate our financial. Restate means re-prepare our financials. But if it is not possible to re-prepare, then we have to disclose everything clearly and then we can go for fast track. With this, we are done with fast track FPO. Okay, so the next topic that we have to do is our right issue. So basically, what is right issue? When a company offers new shares to its existing shareholder, that is known as right offer. It's like companies giving offer to its existing shareholder. Do you want to purchase more share? And always right offer is given in proportion to their existing shares. For example, right offer is given in the ratio 1:2, which means we will offer one more share to you if you're already holding 2 shares of the company. So we will offer you to buy one more shares if you already have 2 shares in the company. For example, let's say you have already 100 shares of the company. So we will offer you 50 more shares. So you have right to buy 50 more shares of the company. This is known as right offer. Whenever company makes the right offer, company has to decide who are the existing shareholders. For that, we fix a date which is known as record date. Now, when a company makes right offer to shareholders, what options shareholders have? Shareholders have 4 options basically. Either they can subscribe fully. Let's say I am the shareholder of Reliance and I already have 100 shares. Now company is making right offer in the ratio 1:2. So which means I have right to buy 50 more shares. So either I can purchase all the 50 shares or I can subscribe partly. Let's say I say ki I want to purchase only 20 shares and rest 30 let it go. So I can subscribe partly or I can renounce rights. If I don't want to purchase, let's say whole 50 shares, I don't want to purchase, I can give this right to someone else. Let's say instead of me, Priya want to purchase. So I can give this right to Priya that instead of me, Priya, do you want to purchase this shares? So I can renounce the rights, which means transfer to anyone, or I can ignore the offer, do nothing, eat 5-star. Yes, you are right, do nothing. Okay, you have these 4 options. Acha, right issue is also known as preemptive right of existing shareholder, which means before company would offer shares to others, first company will give shares to existing shareholder. This is known as preemptive right. One point is given, if the right issue size is 50 crores or more, if the total amount of right issue is 50 crores or more, then we also have to comply with chapter 3. What is chapter 3, which we studied in the previous ICDR lesson? That is IPO and FPO rules. That is, if whatever IPO and FPO rules we studied regarding draft prospectus and prospectus, the same law of IPO rules will also apply to right issue if the right issue size is 50 crores or more. Regarding DLOF and LOF, what is draft? DLOF, draft letter of offer. LOF means letter of offer. Just like there is draft prospectus in IPO, same way there is draft letter of offer in right issue. And just like there is prospectus in IPO, same way there is letter of offer in right issue. Now, very important, which entities are eligible to make right offer? Everybody is not eligible to make right offer. So who are eligible to make right offer? First, you will not be allowed to make right offer if your promoter or promoter group or director are debarred by SEBI. Your promoter and director are also the promoter director of another company which is debarred by SEBI. Your promoter director are fugitive economic offender, which you have done in ECIPL. Can you remember? These points are same as IPO. The same non-eligibility we discussed in IPO also. Achha, if the debarment period is over, already over, then in that case we can now make right offer. These points are same as IPO. Now some general conditions to make right issue, and guys, I am so happy to tell you that all the general conditions are same as IPO. Only thing is 2-3 extra points are here. Same as IPO and FPO. All the general conditions that are going to come are same to same, which we have already discussed in IPO. First, whenever you make right offer of new shares, you have to apply to stock exchange for getting the listing approval, and you have to choose one of them as the designated stock exchange. Let's say I want to list my right shares in BSE and NSE both, then I have to apply in BSE and NSE both for getting listing approval, and I have to choose one out of those as a designated stock exchange. Next, if there are partly paid up shares, I have to either convert them into fully paid up or forfeit, which means if there are partly paid up shares, I cannot make right offer. I have to exhaust all the partly paid up shares by converting into fully paid up or forfeited. Now, if you are doing right issue to finance any capital expenditure or project, to finance any project, You cannot finance whole of the project by right issue. For in that case, you can finance maximum 25% of that project through a right issue, which means you have to make pre-arrangements for financing 75% of the project. So if project is of 100 crore, you already have to make arrangements for 75 crore. That should be arranged from some other means excluding the right issue. Next is GCP. Same as IPO, guys. All these points which I have made in box, all these points which I have made in box are same to same in IPO and same to same in FPO. So it's like buy one get three free. You can use the right offer ka maximum 25% for general corporate purpose. General corporate purpose means day-to-day working business, working capital, paying salaries, admin, office salary, etc. So for general corporate purpose, you can use maximum 25% of right issue. Second, for unidentified investment means you want to invest but you don't know where, it's not identified as of now. For unidentified investment, you can use maximum 25% of right issue size, and for both GCP and unidentified investment, you can use maximum 35%. Okay, so this limit is not applicable if the target is identified. Means if you want to do identified investment, for that you can use even 100% of right offer. So for GCP you can use maximum 25%, for unidentified investment you can use maximum 25%, and for both you can use maximum 35%. This is same to same as IPO. So basically we have revised IPO and FPO condition. Lastly, if your company or your promoter director are willful defaulter or fraudulent borrower, can you make right offer? Yes, you can make right offer, because see here na वो वाला point was not there. यहाँ पर willful defaulter was वाला point was not there. Non eligibility में only fugitive economic offender वाला point was there here. So guys, if our company or promoter director are willful defaulter or fraudulent borrower, can we make right offer? Yes, we can make right offer, but there is one condition, that promoters cannot renounce to their rights to outsider. So they can renounce only within the promoter group. So basically, there's one condition, that if the company or promoters are willful defaulter or fraudulent borrower, and in that case, if they get right offer, can they get right offer? Yes, but they can't renounce it to some outsider. They can renounce it only to someone within the promoter group. Okay, and lastly, if company have issued SR equity shares, then if we are giving right offer to SR equity shareholders, they cannot renounce it. Why? Because SR equity shares have superior right. You cannot give superior right wale share to anybody else. So generally, if you get right offer, you can renounce it to someone else. But if you get right offer in SR shares, then you cannot renounce it to any outsider, because there is more voting power in SR equity shares. And if you get SR shares under right offer, that will be locked in until they are converted into ordinary shares. Which means if I get superior voting right shares under right offer, I cannot sell it unless and until those superior right shares are converted into normal shares. And lastly, this right offer that I get, nowadays these are given in demat form, and this we have already studied in lesson number 2, right entitlement. So this right offer that we get, this is directly credited to our demat account, and even these are tradable, which means if I don't want to purchase right shares, I can sell my RE, right entitlement, to someone else through stock exchange or off market. Through stock exchange or off market means outside stock exchange. This topic of RE we have also done in lesson number 2, if you can recall. And lastly, guys, as we all know, whenever a company wants to make right offer, before announcing the right offer, we have to decide a record date. In record date, we will, why do we decide record date? Because on that date, whosoever are shareholder, they will be entitled for right offer. So before making right offer, we have to decide a record date. And once record date is announced, after that right issue cannot be withdrawn. मतलब एक बार commitment कर दी, now you cannot go back. Once you announce the record date, after that you cannot back off, you cannot withdraw right offer. Now you have to make the right offer. And even if after announcing record date, if you withdraw the right offer, then you will be debarred from listing any new security for next 12 months. For next 12 months, you will be debarred from listing any new security. But even in this 12 months, you can list 3 types of security. If you get shares under ESOP, or if you get shares by conversion of convertible instrument, or if you get shares by conversion of warrant. then those shares can be listed even during this 12 months. What are we saying? If we are getting shares by conversion of ESOP or by conversion of convertible security or by conversion of warrant, then those shares can be listed even in this 12 months when we are debarred to list any new security. So basically what we are saying that if you withdraw your right issue, then you will not be able to list any security for next 12 months. But even in this 12 months, you can list those shares which are converted from ESOP or they are converted from convertible instrument or converted from warrant, provided one condition: these ESOP or convertible instrument or warrant should be existing before record date. They should be in existence before record date. That's all about right issue. With this, we are done with right offer. Okay, so the next topic that we are going to do is preferential issue. Now, what do you mean by preferential issue? Preferential issue means when we offer equity shares or any other security to selected people privately. Basically, public offer means you are making an offer to everybody. Whosoever want to purchase the shares of the company, they can purchase. But when you make offer to only selected people, A, B, C, D, that is known as preferential issue, where you don't offer the shares to public. Now, when you make preferential issue, there is a proper rules given in chapter 5. And this we are going to study in this upcoming topic. Now, preferential issue does not include ESOP, sweat equity shares, depository receipts, or foreign security. We all know preferential issue is a separate category. ESOP is a separate category. Sweat equity is a separate category, which we already know. Preferential issue is different. ESOPs are different. Sweat equity shares all are different. Now, which entities are ineligible to make preferential issue? If the promoter director are fugitive economic offender, then you're not eligible to make preferential issue. Don't you think this is same in IPO, FPO, right offer everywhere? So if your company's promoter director are fugitive economic offender, your company is not allowed to make preferential issue. Secondly, if your company has not paid any pending payment of SEBI or stock exchange, then your company will not be allowed to make preferential issue. So what are we saying? That if you have any dues pending to be paid to SEBI or stock exchange, government ka paisa nahi diya, you have not paid SEBI's money, you will not be eligible to make preferential offer. But if that matter is going on in the court and court have admitted the appeal, basically SEBI is asking some payment from you which you have not paid, and you filed an appeal in the court, and if court accepted that appeal, in that case you will be eligible to make preferential issue if appeal is admitted by the court and appeal is going on, which means you are not the defaulter. Appeal is going on. In that case, we will wait for the court's judgment in order to give you a tag of defaulter. So if appeal is admitted, then right now you are not a defaulter. So in that particular case, right now you can make the preferential offer. Are we clear with this? Acha. Okay. Now, what are we saying, guys? Yes, we are saying that you cannot make preferential offer to anybody who sold the shares of the company in the last 90 days. So we are saying that anybody who sold our shares in last 90 days, which means they don't want our share. Why would we make preferential allotment to them if they sold shares in 90 days? It's like last 90 days they didn't want our share. They sold our shares. Why would we give shares to them now? So if anybody sold their shares in the last 90 days, in that case, we cannot make preferential offer to that particular person. Now, if promoter have sold their shares in the last 90 days, then all promoter group become ineligible to get the preferential issue, which means can't kare one promoter, bhukte all promoter group, which means what does this mean? It means that if one promoter sold the shares in last 90 days, then not only that promoter will be ineligible for preferential offer, but all promoter will be ineligible to get the preferential offer. Okay, so if one promoter sold shares in last 90 days, entire promoter group will become ineligible to receive the preferential offer. But this restriction will not apply if the promoter sold their shares due to some compulsory situation. For example, if the promoter sold their shares due to invocation of pledge by bank or PFIs, which means you have taken some loan from bank or PFI, and bank and PFI invoked that pledge, and if due to that you sold your shares, promoter sold their shares in the 90 days, in that case, that is a genuine case. They will not be disqualified to receive preferential offer. Secondly, if there is an interstate transfer between promoters under SAST regulation. What is SAST? Under takeover regulation, if one promoter is selling shares to another promoter, which means there is interstate transfer only within the promoters only, among the promoter, even in the last 90 days, in that case, in these two cases, there is a genuine case. So that's why in that case, you will be eligible to receive the preferential offer. Next is If your promoters, they had the warrant. What is warrant? Warrants give you right to purchase equity shares. They can be converted into equity shares. You had warrant, which means you had right to purchase equity share, but you did not exercise them. So basically, it somewhere shows that you don't want equity shares of the company. You had the warrant, but you did not exercise them in the last 1 year. In that case, you will be ineligible to receive preferential offer for next 1 year from the date of warrant ki expiry. So basically, if you had warrant but you did not exercise that warrant, then for next 1 year you will be ineligible to receive the preferential offer. Then you cannot receive preferential offer for the next 1 year. These are the ineligibility, in which case you cannot make preferential offer if your promoters are fugitive economic offender, if any dues is pending to be paid to stock exchange, exception if appeal is filed. If anybody sold the shares in 90 days, they cannot get preferential offer. If promoters sold the shares in 90 days, all promoters cannot receive preferential offer. Two exceptions are there. And lastly, if promoter had warrants but they did not exercise them in the last 1 year, then they will be disqualified to receive the preferential offer. Okay. Next is some conditions to make preferential issue. If a company wants to make preferential offer, they have to follow this 6 condition. First is we have to obtain pen from everybody whom we are making preferential offer, that is proposed allottee. If we are making preferential offer to Mr. ABCD, we have to obtain pen card from Mr. ABCD. We have to comply with all the SEBI LODR regulations and listing. Basically, we should be a compliant company. We should not be a defaulter company. So we must be in compliance with all the listing agreement and LODR regulation. Secondly, all the shares should be in demat form. We cannot make preferential offer in physical shares. We have to make sure that it is in demat form. Most important, we have to take approval of the shareholders by way of special resolution. Without SR approval, you cannot make preferential offer. You need the approval of shareholders by way of special resolution. And lastly, you have to make sure that when you make preferential offer, all the shares that you offer in preferential offer are fully paid at the time of allotment. Fully paid at the time of allotment means installment not allowed, pay later not allowed. If I am allotting you shares by making preferential allotment, you have to pay all the money upfront at the time of allotment. We have to make sure that when we are allotting shares, they pay the full money at once. No pay later option is there, no installment option is there. We have to make sure that all the preference shares are fully paid up. And last point, whenever we make preferential offer of new shares, then we have to get it listed in the stock exchange. And for that, we have to apply to stock exchange on the same day when we will send the notice of general meeting. To pass the SR, you have to do general meeting, and on the same day on which you will send the notice of general meeting, that same day you have to apply to stock exchange for getting in principle approval. That's all about preferential offer. We are done with 3 topics. That is basically fast track, FPO, right offer, and preferential offer. The next topic that we are going to do is QIP, that is qualified institutional placement. Okay, and it's a very easy topic, QIP, very small and easy topic. So the first point is I open IDR. Okay. What is QIP? QIP is basically qualified institutional placement. It means issuing shares to QIBs. Who are QIBs? We have done in lesson 2. They are big investors like insurance companies, mutual fund, banks, PFIs, etc., etc. So they are big investors. So when we issue eligible securities to QIBs on private placement basis, we are not offering shares to everybody. We are offering shares only to QIBs. That is known as qualified institutional placement. Acha, what are eligible security? Eligible securities, basically example, equity shares, convertible debentures, non-convertible debentures, or any other security, preference shares. All this will come in eligible security. So when we offer equity shares, preference shares, debentures to QIBs only, that is known as QIP. We are not offering shares to anybody else except for QIBs. Acha, even this can be done by making offer for sale. QIP can be done by, if you want, you can do QIP by issuing new shares, or if you want, you can do QIP by issuing existing shares of promoters. That is known as offer for sale. You can go for offer for sale also. Now, some very important conditions in order to make QIP. First is you need to take approval of special resolution. So if a company wants to make QIP, then we need the approval of special resolution. And in that special resolution, we have to specify two things. Number one, QIP ka relevant date. Who are the QIBs and what is the relevant date? Relevant date is very important here for the purpose of making QIP. Now the question is, what is relevant date? If you are issuing equity shares, then the relevant date will be the date of board meeting when you considered this proposal. If you are issuing convertible securities like convertible debentures or any other security, then right now let's say they are debentures, but in future they will be converted into equity shares. In that case, relevant date will be either the date of board meeting or the date when it becomes convertible into equity shares, the date when holder become entitled to convert it into equity shares. Let's say today on 8th December 2025, you did a board meeting to make QIP. So if you are doing QIP of equity shares, then today's date will be relevant date because today we did the board meeting. Okay. Now let's say if we are issuing convertible debentures, which will be convertible into equity shares after 5 years. After 5 years, then let's say 8th December 2020, 2030, it will become convertible. So in that case, in case of convertible debentures, the relevant date will be either today's date, 8 December 2025, that is date of board meeting, or the date when it become convertible into equity shares, date after 5 years when it will become convertible, that is 8 December 2030. ठीक है, इक्विटी शेयर्स के केस में today's date of board meeting will be relevant date, convertible securities या convertible debentures के केस में date of board meeting or the date when it becomes convertible. That's it. Now, what are we doing? We are doing conditions for making QIP. The first condition is you need to pass special resolution. Second thing is that SR is valid only for 1 year, which means you have to complete the allotment within 365 days. 365 days means 1 year. So basically we are saying that special resolution will be valid only for 1 year. So you have to make sure that you do complete whole process of QIP and you complete the allotment within 1 year. Otherwise, you have to pass a fresh SR. And lastly, SR not required if you are doing offer for sale only to meet MPS. MPS means minimum public shareholding. Remember, we studied in lesson number 2. Lesson number 2 lesson number 3 or lesson number 4 we studied that minimum public shareholding is 25% minimum, which means public should hold minimum 25% of every listed company. Let's say our company mein public shareholding is only 20%. So just to increase the MPS, we are making offer for sale to QIB. In that case, SR not required. Special resolution will not be required. So generally, in order to make QIPs, you need to pass SR. But if you are making QIP through offer for sale, just to meet minimum public shareholding, in that case, SR is not required. Okay. Next, what are we saying that second condition to make QIP? The QIP, if we are making QIP of shares, then those shares should be of same class which is already listed for 1 year. मतलब पुराने shares होने चाहिए. The class of shares which we are issuing to QIBs, it should be of the same class which is already listed for 1 year, which means those shares, those class of shares should be old, should have already completed 1 year of listing. Next is if two companies are getting merged, then old company ka period will also be counted. In order to count this 1 year, the listing period of transferor company will also be counted. Let's say there was old company X Limited. Okay, they listed their equity shares for 7 months. After that, X Limited merged with Y Limited and became XY Limited. Now the new company XY Limited is holding this equity shares for, let's say, 5 months. Will we say that 1 year is completed? Yes, because we will include the time period, listing period of this old transferor company also, transferee company also. So we will say that it has been listed since, it has been listed for 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 months, which is 1 year. So in that case, this requirement is fulfilled. Lastly, this 1 year requirement is not applicable if we are doing QIP just to meet the minimum public shareholding. Why we are issuing shares to QIBs? Just to meet the minimum MPS. If that's the case, then there is 1 year rule does not apply. It's not necessary that that class of shares should be listed for 1 year. It's not necessary if we are making QIP just to meet the minimum public shareholding. Done. Next condition to make QIP is your promoter and director should not be fugitive economic offender. The same condition we did for right issue also. The next one is preferential issue also. The next one is all your QIPs must be listed on the same stock exchange where your equity shares are listed. So you can list your QIP only on those stock exchanges where your equity shares are already listed. Let's say your equity shares are already listed in BSE and NSE. Then this QIP shares You can list in BSc and NSC. You have to comply with securities contract rules, and lastly there should be minimum 2 weeks gap between two QIPs. Let's say today I completed one QIP, then immediately within 2 weeks I cannot start another QIP. I have to wait for 2 weeks. Only after completion of 2 weeks I can start another QIP, which means there should be minimum 2 weeks gap between two QIPs. With this we are done with the topic of QIP, and with this we are done with like 4 out of 9 topics of this particular remaining topics. We have done fast track, we have done right issue, we have done preferential issue, and we have done QIP, qualified institutional placement. The next one in line is your IDR and SME. Okay.